Hello, and welcome to an experience unlike any other. Are you ready for a ride that you never asked for? Just kidding. Hello. Welcome to Maybe It's Me podcast, the podcast where me, Carlos Ramirez, and a whole bunch of my friends give you unsolicited, unwanted, honestly not asked for, but sometimes funny sex advice. Today, I am joined by a very special guest of mine and a good friend, DJ Terry. Hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am great. It's always a great day when I see you.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Same to you. Are you excited?
I am very excited, mixed with a little bit of nerves, but, we're going to go for it.
You know what? It'll just iron out after a while. Why don't you tell the people a bit about yourself?
Okay, so I am a 27-year-old journalism major, so I'm so happy to be here. I currently work as a treatment coordinator at a dental implant center in the Poconos of Pennsylvania.
My stomping grounds where I was raised. God bless.
I am so sorry. My condolences. So that's where I work. I live about 35 minutes away in Easton, PA, which is like right over the bridge from Jersey. And that's pretty much me, besides being a doggy dad to my young Fabio, who is 2 years old, a mini Jack Russell. So that's pretty much my entire life in a nutshell. I'm sure we'll get more later, but that is all you know for now.
Absolutely work, yes. DJ is a good friend of mine, and it's honestly, I'm just super excited to record, right? And just to give people what they asked for, quite literally. Right?
We're more givers than takers.
You know what?
Until, the time comes.
That'll hold true always. But all right, I love to just get right into it, right? Right into the sex topic of the day. Are you ready?
Yeah, roll it out.
All right, dope. Today, we're actually going to do 2 sex topics, which I should preface. This is going to be the last episode of the first season, which I am super excited about. So thank you so much, everyone who's listened. And, just take this wild ride with us. So the first one is sex with an age gap. Kind of how do we feel about that? Initial thoughts. What are you feeling? The guest goes first.
Okay. Well, let's think about this. Like, how big is this age gap? Like, are we talking like 10 years? Are we talking like 2 years? Because I have a little bit of a confession to make. So I've been in. Go ahead.
So, well, first, let's say when I say age gap, how long do you usually think? I usually think like 10 years.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Like minimum 10 years.
Okay.
Like when you're over the age of 18, minimum 10 years. I feel like when you're under the age of 18, anything is an age gap. Like if you're 20 dating a 17-year-old, like we need to check.
Have a conversation.
Yes. But no, when I was 20, prior to me being able to legally drink, I got picked up at my job. It was a restaurant job at the time. Won't say the name just because.
Exactly. Let's not.
But I did. I got picked up by a guy who was 53. And he took me to all the bars around before I could legally drink and paid for everything. Looking at that now, I'm like, kind of weird. But at the time, it felt very... Also, shout out to 29 by Demi Lovato. It is an amazing track. If you have not heard it, go check it out. Secondly, I just kind of, I thought it was cool in the moment, right? Because there is someone who clearly has a perspective on life, someone who dresses very well.
And it's like they chose you out of all of that.
Exactly. I am the prize.
Yes.
It makes you feel good. Here I am now, a geriatric 20s person, and I'm looking back like, oh, wow, I don't know that 30 years from now, I'll be interested in 20-year-olds because I'm not now and I'm 27.
20 sneaking someone into the bar.
Yeah, I don't really, it's predatory behavior, but that's over 30-year age gap, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about like the 10-year mark. I honestly don't see a problem with it. I think it's very fine. If you're 30 and you're dating a 40-year-old, bitch, go off. If you are 20 and you want to date a 30-year-old, bitch, go off. I think the age gap doesn't matter as much as compatibility. And I'm going to say this and sound very, contradictory, but just stay with me.
Yeah.
I mean compatibility in a sexual way. I doubt that people with 10 years of age difference are going to always connect in any other way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I've had amazing sex with people who are older than me and not so great sex with people who are my age. I will pause.
Amazing. Okay. I will co-sign that. All right. Sex with older men. There's a difference between you feeling like you need to ask them their age because it shows versus just meeting someone and then you find out after the deed that they're like 25 years older than you. Let me tell you, because again, I co-sign that, but continue. Sorry.
And I've had, relations with people my own age and have been very bored. So it very much is a matter of like, are we compatible? Is this good for the night or the week or the month? Girl, it's summer. Do what you want. It doesn't actually matter. But then it becomes like a lot of times what I've seen in the gay community particularly. I can't speak for a lot of straights, but I will stop here and say that my parents are 20 years apart. My dad picked my mom up as she was walking. She was a high school senior. He was in his 30s. Just going to leave it out there and we're moving on. So yeah, I know that it happens in the straight community, but from experience, I know that in the gay community, age gaps aren't really as frowned upon as they are in the straight community. So because of that, you see older people, preying on younger people a lot more. Like commonly, there's like the whole daddy thing. We can get into that conversation if you want at a later time. But so yeah, I don't see it as a problem if it's more consensual. But there does seem to be this dad-son kind of relationship in that age gap thing that then allows for there to be some behaviors that are questionable. Like it's hot to have a masculine guy who's like coming after you. You know what I mean?
I think praying was a really good word. I wouldn't necessarily call every older gentleman like a predator.
No, not at all.
But I do think praying is a good description. Just because I wouldn't go as far to call you a predator doesn't mean you can't have predatory tendencies.
I'm thinking about myself, at 20, dating this 53-year-old. Like I didn't have the mental capacity to really take on what that relationship meant. Luckily I'm still very good friends with this person and they've turned out to be an amazing guy, but we're not together and there's reasons for that, No, absolutely. I don't think that people who have 10 years less of life experience are always able to know what's best for them in that moment. So the older person then has the advantage most of the time and they can,
and that's really where the predatory behavior can come from, right? It's like taking advantage of or like grooming,
Girl, that is a separate conversation.
You are right. It's to your point. I do think the compatibility does kind of have to start sexually because it would be weird if you had 20, like for me, for example, but the situationship of someone that was 22 years older than I. We met at a bathhouse. Let me tell you, it started straight for
story here.
No, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, Club Orlando.
It's like an after-hours special.
Absolutely, check the Patreon.
Exactly.
But there is. I don't what you could really relate to when it comes to like your lives and like emotionally initially with someone that much older than you, and even if you were younger, like being able to relate to someone older due to trauma also just kind of feels a bit predatory by the older person, right? Because you don't necessarily fully understand what you've gone through or been able to really process how that makes you move and operate, right? So yeah, I definitely 100% agree. I don't really see the issue as well. Like if it's 10 years, obviously if you're of a legal age, if you're under the age of 18,
we should talk.
Absolutely. If someone, 19 is like pushing it, but 20 and up and you are under the age of 18, the intentions are not that good. They are immature. That is not okay. But I'm 25 and sex with an age gap is great.
You're still in Leonardo DiCaprio's dating range.
Oh,
one more year, sweetheart.
Exactly. I'm about to be too old. I'm about to age out. And so, I 100% agree. I think it has to start sexually as well. I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing ever. I do think a lot of relationships start as sex, fuck buddies or just like friends with benefits and it leads to more. I think a slow and steady sexual relationship with someone a lot older than you could lead to something greater.
Exactly.
And you're right. It's not as taboo in the gay community.
Nope.
Not at all. It doesn't mean there aren't times where I feel like it's weird. Sometimes when I look at a guy and then I meet them, I do think it's weird when I find out they're with someone who's 20 years younger than them.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just, and then it's also telling if everyone is, that's also the thing too. If someone's constantly with someone younger than them.
Yeah, that is the red flag.
That is
that is the predatory behavior. That's the preying.
There's difference if it's one time and something happens.
Then you can just say, oh, there was a literal connection with this person. Regardless of their age, they happen to be 20, 30 years younger than me. But, to consistently go after that when you're in your 50s, it's like you're clearly not looking for anything.
No, but I would almost call you a predator.
Yeah, exactly.
With with all shade, all tea, actually. You know what I mean? I was going to say no shade, but no, like.
No, there's shade. There's
absolutely. Because there's at some point where I just feel like you enjoy having the upper hand of someone with less life experience and you get something out of that. And that's truly where it becomes like
what does it say about you that you can't just connect with someone who literally has the same amount of life experience? Like that does say something.
Absolutely.
I don't always want to sleep with people who are 24 to 28, but I connect with them much easier than I would like a 50-year-old because we have the same amount of life experience.
Absolutely.
So it's like I can only imagine myself in my 50s. I don't think that I'm gonna want to hang out with a bunch of 20-year-olds, and I only say that again because there's such a huge difference of growth from 20 to 30.
Yes.
I can only imagine there's almost equally, if not more, growth from 30 to 50. Like, how
literally
bored am I going to be trying to entertain the conversation with someone who doesn't have a mortgage, someone who's never been in a serious relationship, someone who, like, it's like, what perspectives do we have that are going to align besides like the bedroom? Like,
and I think to point out, these questions really become questions, like red flags when it's constant, when it's always someone younger. Once in a while, fine. Young people go through things or they have an understanding, but for that to be your entire circle, I implore those people to try to find friends their own age.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they may see how weird it is.
Yeah.
Honestly. Do you have any outstanding thoughts on that topic? I mean, I know I didn't say that much because I just wholeheartedly agree. There's nothing that DJ said that I don't agree with. I do want to point out to the younger people, if an older man is hitting on you and you do think he's attractive, do not be scared by the age. Only be excited.
Exactly. Especially if you meet them that night and you plan on sleeping with them that night, no problem. Move on.
Absolutely.
Do it. Enjoy your time. But don't have it. Oh, yes. I mean, that's tea.
Right.
Yes, do it. Don't have any second thoughts about it until it becomes questionable. I would just say listen to your gut because it does tell you a lot. Sometimes you are with someone and they look really good and they're saying all the right things, and sometimes they smell really good. That's a whole other story. That sometimes it's like, okay, whatever. But you just feel this weird thing in your stomach and you ignore it because you're like, I don't see any signs. I don't smell any signs. Everything seems great. I would say like hone in on that just a little bit because, not everybody will give you that feeling. Some people are just, you just want to go home with them right then and there. But
and I do. I mean, I hate to like objectify us as like animals, but like we are animals with instincts.
Essentially, yes.
You know what I mean? So we really should trust those. If you're for some reason uneasy, like believe yourself.
Exactly.
But also the sex will be good. Just want to say that. All right. Well, I love that subject. And again, I wholeheartedly agree. Are you ready for topic number 2?
Let's do it.
I'm actually super excited about this topic. This one I think is controversial. I think I'm just going to say it. So essentially, the sex topic is PrEP a good enough alternative to a condom? Like if someone says, I don't have a condom, but I'm on PrEP, are you like, okay, cool? Or for you, is it still like, no, not comparable? I mean, I know factually, like scientifically, they're not the same thing, but
Yeah. Okay. This is going to frame me in some people's minds, and I don't know if I'm okay with it, but I'm going to say it because 'tis the truth. The truth matters, so tell it. Here's the thing. I have been that person that like has turned down a Grindr date because they were like forcing condoms on me. And I was like, I'm on PrEP. I don't know why we need this, whatever. Listen, I'm completely aware that PrEP is only preventative for HIV. I'm not an idiot. I get that that's the case. And you can get multitude of other STDs, STIs, sexually related problems that have nothing to do with HIV because of PrEP. But those things are usually curable, treatable. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that feels very like worth it to me. Like we are in a place in science where, you know, a lot of that stuff isn't really a death sentence. It's not even like a life sentence at that point. Like no one really cares, you know? At least I don't. Let me say that. Let me preface this to be very personal to me because it has been my experience. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say I've never contracted anything, but I don't have anything currently. So what does that say? Like I'm just as clean as I was before I got the whatever because I've been, you know, shot, injected, or I've taken medication or whatever the case is. And I do think there's a lot of stigma attached to it, which is why I feel compelled to speak on it. Like in the gay community, it happens more than you think. You know, I don't even know anyone anymore that has never been to the clinic for a shot or a pill. Like I just don't. God. I literally just don't know anyone anymore. And that's because it's like it's so prevalent. Why not talk about it? Why not normalize it? I don't want to say normalize STDs, but normalize sex without a condom. If that's what you're up to, if that's what you're into, if that's what you like, don't feel ashamed to engage in that form of sexual activity because
you know what, hiding it ultimately makes it more unsafe.
Exactly.
Because if we're gonna just be really honest and real, it just makes it a lot more unsafe. Like if you're hiding it, then people are less inclined to get tested, or maybe you're less inclined to get tested because you're lying to yourself, right? That's not what you like, right? But at the end of the day, if that is what you like and everyone else around you also enjoys it, then there is this like group consensus like, okay, well, if this is what we're going to do, let's get tested.
And that really honestly is the takeaway for me here. Like, honestly, if you are coupling raw sex with constantly being tested, that's really the only way to go for me. I don't know if it's a safe decision or a smart one to have unprotected sex if you're not going to go to the clinic every 3 months. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think you should be very consistent with your testing if you're going to engage in sex without a condom. Just because you are opening yourself to much more.
And you have an obligation to not spread
risks.
It. You know, 100%. Exactly. And one thing I do love about PrEP is the obligation to get tested every 3 months. I think it's so helpful. It keeps you in check, keeps you in line.
You always know your status.
We obviously want to trust people, but you can only trust yourself at the end of the day. So I think it's a good enough alternative. I mean, I understand scientifically they're not the same thing. I am also in the same boat. I mean, whenever I have sex with a condom, I do feel like a sense of relief. I'm like, oh, well, that was great, and I don't feel like scared to have anything. But at the same time, as you said, a lot of it is curable. A lot of it is very manageable. HIV is such a stigma in our community, and it really does help us, right? And so for the fact that I don't get that, and that a lot of the other ones are curable or manageable, I also am a lot more okay with having unprotected sex as long as the person's on PrEP, and then also they're getting tested regularly so they're not ignorant to their own they're not ignorant to their own diseases and behaviors. And so I mean, is it a good enough? I mean, I know what the answer is, but my answer is yes.
Yep, I completely agree with that. My answer is also yes.
Period.
Have sex.
It feels different. Okay, I also want to point out that it feels different. If you're going to go with longevity and maybe you're not naturally able to do that, I mean, then wear a condom. It does help, but it feels great. It feels different. Again, if it's unprotected, I feel it's not just the fact that you're on PrEP. It's the idea that you're also getting tested that makes me a lot more comfortable. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. Just like we said before, you know, raw sex coupled with constantly getting tested and knowing your status.
Absolutely. No rebuttals, nothing. Just period on that.
No.
Yep.
Just period.
Well, all right. Well, I enjoyed those two topics. I feel like we got a lot of good info. And honestly, I feel like those are standards I would really like our community to go by, right? And I really go listen to and that I live my life by. So yeah, I implore everyone else to at least think about it. Well, this next part is my favorite and is really the point of the podcast, which is the sex advice. Are you ready? How do you feel?
I feel amazing. I am excited.
Right before we get into it, do you ever have people going to you for sex advice?
I am that friend that, here's the thing. I was gay before a lot of my gay friends were gay.
Yeah.
I did theater for 16 years, so there was always that person that was claiming to be straight, and you just knew
I wasn't even in theater,
but they had to be. Exactly. It was a lot of no, I like women, and then 10 years after high school,
I'm a power bottom.
Actually, yeah, exactly. And I had been, sucking dick all along. So they come to me and they're like, hey, like, how does this work? How does that work? Not really the logistics. Like, they know I'm not a science teacher, so they don't ask me those kinds of questions. But they just, when you are dating men as a man, you do kind of need pointers from other men.
Yeah.
Men. It's not like a thing that you can do by Googling or a thing that you could do by talking to your grandma or me mom. Like, it does not happen. Like, you have to talk to men
really
who date men.
Need to come together, and I do think we have an obligation to ourselves.
Exactly.
Well, all right. So, let's get into it. All righty. So we are jumping right into these sex questions, sex advice, and I want to start with this one. Someone asked, what are our thoughts on phone sex? Do you have any? I mean, if you don't have any thoughts. I mean, I don't. Before you speak, I don't have any. Do I like it? I haven't had a partner, but I don't think I would. And I don't think about it.
What are we defining phone sex as? Like, is this like Snapchats back and forth? Is this a FaceTime moment? Like, what is phone sex? If it's like,
I did not even think. I was really thinking like you're just on the phone as if we lived like 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like you call 188 squirt that whatever. Yeah, it's like
I did not.
You have some prostitute on the other end.
The way I forgot about FaceTime, it could be like streaming. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So would you? I guess. Phone sex, like as in FaceTime. Okay.
I mean, I've done it and I did like it. It really does depend on who you're having sex, phone sex, FaceTime sex, whatever you want to call it, with. Some people just don't look good on camera. And you have to just, it's an art and a beauty you must appreciate in person. I'll just say that. And so it's like, why am I, like, phone sex isn't fun if I'm not getting the imagery that makes it hot. You know, I don't get to smell you. I don't get to be around you. I don't get that natural attraction or pheromones or anything. It's just a visual.
So the like visual is porn.
Exactly. And who wants to watch? Never mind. That's okay. Yep. So yeah, I've done the Snapchat FaceTime or just like the iPhone FaceTime thing where I'm engaging with someone sexually, and if they look good on camera, it's hot because they're into me, I'm into them, everything is great. Now, I don't understand or relate to the, analog sort of phone sex that Carlos was alluding to earlier, where it's like,
we're just voices on the phone.
Yeah, like you call in and I'm like, but they explain what they're wearing, but they're lying, and somehow that's still hot to you. That's just not me. How do you feel about it?
Now that I think about it, a couple episodes ago, I mentioned how people will do like sex noises, or they really like the audio, but that's different.
So are we like categorizing ASMR as like phone sex now too?
Well, people were just like, oh my god, like, hey tiger. You know what I mean? Like, that's what people really think phone sex is. And I mean, when it comes to that, I don't get it. Moans and things, like, people really are like, they enjoy when you moan, right? So I guess I can see how that can translate. I actually don't like it. Like, full honesty, I have the inability to get hard.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't like it.
You don't like moaning at all?
No. Phone sex.
Okay, God, you scared me, Carlos. I was like, no.
No.
Okay.
Phone sex. I have the inability to get hard. Someone's asked me to FaceTime. I'm like, I'm just gonna be watching you,
right?
Because I don't like it.
But some people are into that too, like just being watched. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, and I'm not someone who enjoys it. I guess I can see how, to your point, if the camera angle's off, then I'm not going to enjoy it. It has to be, the visuals have to be there.
Yeah.
I guess in person too. Like the person has to be attractive. Like it has to be there. But in general, for me, I can understand the sounds more, like the analog more, only because men during sex will become increasingly turned on when I'm moaning.
Yes.
And things of that nature. So I could understand calling in, or like before, I think I talked about like an app, if that was a thing. But just like the FaceTime when we're just looking at each other do it, I could just watch porn. I could send you a picture, a video, to do it live. I don't feel like it's more intimate to me. I don't like it.
Enough said on that.
Yep, you know what I mean? That period. So we actually have a couple here. Again, it's the last episode of the season. Woo! So we have a few. So this one is, he slept with his hands inside of me. Are we ready? My husband is selfish in bed. He gets off and doesn't bother about me. I didn't get an orgasm in our first 5 years of marriage, and whenever I brought it up, he argued that I was having an orgasm, but I didn't know, which is the audacity.
Yeah, excuse you?
I married a virgin.
Not that line.
Exactly.
That's where you went wrong, though, honestly. Just
truly. One day after his shoddy job, I did a ride on his legs and I got an orgasm. That was my very first orgasm because I felt it in my core, which...
When his legs can do it, his dick cannot.
Oh, exactly. I was going to comment on how an orgasm can make you feel it to your core, but you're right. That's tea. Some days ago, he got off after his shoddy job... Consistency.
Yeah.
After his shoddy job, and I practically begged him to finger me so that I could orgasm. He grudgingly did, but in a few minutes, he slept off, and I had to take his fingers from my vagina. Coupled with a lot of things, I'm having a strong feeling he's not really into me. I don't get hugs. And I get non-sexual touches, kisses, romance, dates, seductive stares. He doesn't appreciate my looks or outfits. He finds it difficult to talk to me without the attention of his phone. He's always in a hurry when I'm talking to him. He forgets practically everything I tell him, down to my schedule. We've been married for 8 years. 8 years. No. But I'm so tired. Am I being childish and unrealistic?
First of all, you need to divorce this man.
Immediately.
I literally will never be with someone for 8 years that has never made me come. Are you fucking kidding me?
That is crazy. And there's this one line that I almost feel bad for her for saying, when she said, I have to beg him to finger me. Yeah. You should never have to beg your spouse for sex. No. There's a difference between if they say no and then you're having a little like banter, but you should never feel like you have to absolutely beg your partner for sexual attention
after he has come. So keep in mind, they already had sex. She just didn't finish, and she's asking if he would finger her so she could finish, and he's upset about it because he already came and he's ready to... Nope, I'm sorry. This doesn't sound like an equal partnership to me, which is what marriage is.
So, I get that. Oh my God, like sometimes it's 90-10, 80-20. Obviously, this is 100-0.
Oh, girl.
You know what I mean? That's exactly what this bit. To answer your question, am I being childish and unrealistic? Absolutely not.
Nope.
Your current situation is not an okay situation.
It's not.
You should never feel like you have to beg, and that's okay. I don't get hugs, non-sexual touches. I mean, to that part, physical attention isn't always
sexual in nature.
Yes, and then someone isn't always comfortable with that, but you're getting it elsewhere.
Exactly.
You're getting your attention. But also, if you want hugs and you want attention, he does have an obligation to fulfill some of your needs in that way.
It does seem a little odd that after 8 years, your husband won't hug you. Like, what is so threatening about a hug that you don't want?
No. And she really waits. He finds it difficult to talk to me without the attention of his phone, and he forgets your schedule. I mean, there's just a lack of respect for you as a human.
Yeah, there's a lesson here. Don't marry a virgin. I'm sorry.
That's really what it is.
Clearly is dealing with something else that she's not a part of. I just don't think that this marriage should last. Even if it did, I don't think it should, because she doesn't seem to be getting the basics of what she deserves.
Right. I have had a bad day and gotten dick down and felt better.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that after 8 years you can't experience that, I'm so sorry.
Girl, you don't even get a hug. So yeah.
Exactly. Seductive stare. You don't even get the look, girl.
Well,
girl, I'm so sorry for you. Peace and blessings. Please leave. I implore you. It may be difficult, but if this is what you're dealing with, it can quite literally only get better from here.
I don't know what state y'all are in, but most states after 10 years, you're entitled to half of everything he makes. I don't know if that is a little. Like if you want to leave after 2 more years, that may be an idea. But I'm just throwing that out there. He clearly isn't worth it.
No, at all. And I don't have anything else to say about that besides you need to leave. Mm-hmm. To answer your question, no, you're not being childish. You're not being unrealistic.
Not at all.
All right. Question number 3. What's your trick for getting really smooth skin and butt? That's it.
I
mean, there's further, but it's looking for tips on how to improve bumpy skin.
Okay, like skin on the face or skin on the body? Because I don't even have. Here's the thing: like my face goes through like very oily phases.
Same.
And it's just like when I'm oily, like I start breaking out like crazy. Also, when I eat like chocolate or certain sweets, I can see it happening, but that's a whole other story. Usually, skincare is like a 24/7 job. I mean, it's not one of those things that you can just stop by and do every once in a while because things build up and it's very constant.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm going to be honest and say I've never done anything to make my butt soft. It just is that way. I mean, besides like waxing or getting hair off of there, that's all I've ever had to do. And I don't really grow much body hair or I don't get bumps all over my body. I only get them on my face. So
I mean, so talk a little bit more when you say you don't grow a lot of hair. How do you remove the little hair that you say you have? Like, do you wax it? Do you shave it? Do you razor?
I would go, back in Michigan, I would go to like a salon, right? And they would just like wax everything off. It's way too expensive for me. Honestly, that was like a luxury I was enjoying that I just can't afford anymore. And so I just take like a Norelco like blade and just get it off of there. Like I usually do it the day I know I'm going to have sex just because it's like if I wait 2 days, it's like, it's weirdly starting to grow back in. So you get those like the painful, like rubbing kind of burn nature of it. But that's fine. That happens. But it's just, I'm lucky because I don't actually have to do a lot. Like my body hair is so like minimal and what is there is very fine.
Do you use lotion though? Like just general like care? Like do you use any of those things to keep your skin softer?
Well, duh. I mean, if you're any person,
they're asking, so clearly it's not duh.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing: like if you're like a certain hue, there's no way that your parents or whoever loves you in your life did not tell you to put on lotion at some point. If you're looking in the mirror and you see like patches or scales or anything like that, your skin is just screaming for moisturizer. Right after the shower is when I moisturize, so it's not a separate step. It doesn't feel like I'm actually doing it because I'm already in the mindset of doing it. You know what I mean? Like habits form and then you can do it in your sleep. Yeah. So like when I'm in the bathroom, it's still steaming. My skin is a little bit wet just from like the moisture in the air, and it's also your pores are open and your skin is supple, and it's the best time to get all of that moisture in there so that it can lock in. So I always like lotion my entire body. I'm standing there naked too, right? So you don't have to take anything off to lotion. You don't have to get like awkwardly try to like move your hand under your clothing, which I've also done at the beach for sunscreen. It's like we'll talk about that, but you're already naked, so you can literally just like squirt lotion. Ooh, girls, they also make a spray lotion. It's not the best, but if you are too lazy to rub, they do. If you're too lazy to rub your entire body with 2 hands and you just want to spray that shit on there, like that works too.
They make in-shower lotion. I bought that once. I didn't think it really was that effective, but I mean, it was a bit effective. It is better if let's say you're like a really lazy person, that is better than nothing. Yeah. Nivea sells it.
I was just gonna say, is this Nivea?
Absolutely, it is Nivea. Not to shut them out, but I use your products, girl.
Rihanna did that like commercial for like the in-shower lotion.
Let me tell you,
don't quote me on that, but it feels like a Rihanna move.
Look, Nivea, Miss Nivea. Okay, if you want to hit a girl up, all right, I use your products. I have a bit of a different experience. I am hairy. I grow a lot of hair. So I mean, smooth skin, like, so literally hairless. I mean, it's the same concept. Like you have to use like a blade, right? Or you're getting it waxed. You can have like smooth feeling skin without being completely hairless. Yes, I use an electric razor. Again, non-spawn, but I do use the Manscaper. I do enjoy how light it is. You don't like. I work in an.
Do you have the one with the light on it? Like it actually like shows you where you're trimming.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Do they have that?
They do. They do. I mean,
well,
I don't.
Y'all, there's about to be a Patreon. Okay, if you want to sponsor, if y'all want to help some girls out, I like it's very light.
Mm-hmm.
I work in an office, so I do kind of have a bit of carpal tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, also, and that's an important note. Because it can be difficult when you have a lot of hair and when you're using like a heavy electric razor or other things, it can be off-putting. So for getting really smooth skin, I mean, one time whatever you use, right? If it's to go completely hairless, shave, get it waxed. Smooth skin when you have hair, electric razor, consistently skin. It's important to not burn yourself out. Like you don't want to think, oh my God, I have to like use a razor for this, which was me for a while. And then I finally bought the Manscaper and it really did, like how light it was really did help me. So, I mean, for that, my skin, like my face skin is oily. Yeah. It's almost always oily. Sometimes it is dry, but I kind of wake up knowing it's going to be. I can almost bet it's going to be oily though. So yeah, I mean, my body skin, so my face skin, I have a routine. I use it twice a day. It's important to, at night, I do use like extra moisturizer just to keep my face moisturized, right? I don't want it to be thirsty. My body skin, I put lotion on. I have to put lotion on every single time I shower. That is super important. As I said, the shower one is helpful.
Miss Nivea.
Right? Miss Nivea. That is helpful.
This in-shower lotion is really giving me like the 3-in-1, like the straight man, like starter pack.
I'm telling look, you know what I mean? If you need the smooth skin starter pack, I would start there. It works.
Yeah, smooth skin is clean skin. It's gonna be really hard to take our tips and then also like not be cleaning. Shaving and all that, that'll take the hair away. But it won't be smooth.
Exactly.
You have to couple it.
Absolutely. So just using lotion and trimming hair. That's basically what it is. I wouldn't call it shaving. It's really trimming. Just taking an electric razor and going down, using the lotion, maybe body oils. If your hair is naturally a bit more coarse, they make body oils. And yeah, just taking care of your skin. It's also really, as you kind of alluded to, a lifestyle.
Yes.
Right? Good skin, smooth skin. What you put in your body directly feeds out. And
exactly.
How it does to your mind is a whole separate topic. But if we're just going to talk about, to your skin, as you said, like chocolate, like that matters. Yeah. What you are consuming and bringing in your environment really does matter, right? Clean the air, vacuum the carpet, because nasty air is not going to help your skin.
No.
So yeah, just those tips, just be consistent, giving yourself a routine that you can be consistent with.
Yes.
Right. All right. Any outstanding thoughts?
No, not for me.
All right. Question number 4. I read that a lot of people use coconut oil for lube. As a bottom, what are the pros and cons? I'm curious about it as I've never found the perfect lube. I would like to say, before we get on like coconut as lube, do you feel like there's a perfect lube?
This is going to be very telling of me, but I don't really use lube. The only lube I do use is coconut oil, and I've never even researched like it being bad or good or anything.
Is that what's on your counter behind you?
I do know. Yes, it literally is behind me right now. Right next. Yes, it is literally behind me, and I didn't even realize it. But I'm being honest. Like I've never ever been like a lube girly. Like, I know Swiss Navy is pretty good. Every time like I'm with a partner who has lube, that's another story. Like they want that. I'm not gonna like fight them on it, but I don't carry around lube. I don't buy lube. But the coconut oil I used to put all over my skin, and then I realized the molecules are too big to actually absorb into your skin. So you get this really shiny finish, like a really nice look to your skin, but like putting any clothing on, it just transfers to the clothing because it never absorbed.
Yeah.
So I kind of like applied that to the same thing. I'm sure the anus has much more sensitive skin, but like I know that it's not going into my body in such a way that I'm like, I feel comfortable with it. Plus I cook with it. If we can eat it, we can fucking put it up there. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. No,
what about you? How do you feel about this?
So as I said before, I'm really excited about this one. So I do use lube. I carry lube. I've torn. I've ripped. And I've mentioned in a previous podcast, I do, which I didn't know was a thing of like bottoms to have mini hemorrhoids in there.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I learned that. See, this is why the gay community needs to, like, you know, unite.
Educate, yes,
because I
each
had no
other.
idea that was normal. But really, it's because bottoms be getting plowed. And that shit built in there. So, I mean, I've used hybrid, which I don't actively buy. So I don't really know how to comment on. Because I don't remember specifically. Water-based lube, silicone, and coconut oil.
Okay, this is like an interjection for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm actually allergic to silicone.
Oh,
so the
okay.
silicone lube, like the silicone-based lube, I hear from a lot of people is the superior to water-based because it doesn't dry out as easily. But I can't use it because I have an allergy to it. So
coconut oil really is like perfect for you. Then,
you know, I honestly, that's literally why. That's why it started. But obviously, I could have easily made the switch to something else by now. Just decided not to.
But you know what? To that point, right? I'm curious about this person asked. I'm curious about it as I've never found the perfect lube. It's per person, right? Literally, as DJ just said, silicone lube does not work. Water-based is kind of trash. Coconut oil is perfect. For DJ, so water-based lube, I mean, as people may not know, right, is what you would use for like toys. Like silicone is not good with toys. It's not good with like rubber cock rings. It does like eat at it. It makes it easier to break. I mean, if you wash it immediately, but if you're doing like a 2-hour session
or going to the bathhouse,
exactly. I mean, toys in a bathhouse is kind of odd. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But to your point, maybe you have a room. You know what I mean? They have rooms there. So yeah, that
an extra $55, girl.
It really be. You know what though? When you're below a certain age, which I'm no longer, you get like free shit or you get a discount.
Right.
No, so water-based lube, what besides toys though, I don't like it. It does dry out. Almost feels like water. So it's just really messy and it cleans up really well, but I don't want to just be sticky. Right. So I don't really like water-based lube. I understand why it exists. It's a lot cheaper. For me, as I mentioned, so I have it because I've done those things, and TBH, I am quite tight.
Yeah.
Right. I always kind of am tight as the sex progresses. I tend to get tighter. I probably should stop hooking up as much. You know, maybe it's a side, right? Yeah. Maybe my anxiety's up. But yeah, so with that being said, silicone is nice. It works. It lasts. As you heat up, it kind of just works even better. It does stain. And I mean, silicone in your body is not the greatest thing. Right. So that's
I mean, ask any housewife.
Period. And it's not the greatest thing. And it's there because it's great and it does what it's meant to do wonderfully.
Exactly.
At the same time, I am like a natural girly. I do like natural things. I don't like taking medications. And I have also used coconut oil. It works.
Yeah.
I don't love the taste of it. I don't like coconut. Like in my everyday life, I steer clear of coconut-based things. So when we're using coconut lube and then I'm giving a blowjob, it is one of my least favorite things. However, I understand functionally, it's great. It does do the job. It is still oil, right? Which, again, as you warm up and things get heated, it just works even better. Slick, and it is kind of great. I think it works. The only downside truly is the smell and the taste.
The smell doesn't bother me as much, but yeah,
I don't like coconut.
I mean, I'm impartial to coconut. Those like fucking white truffle flakes on the macaroons, I could do without. I'm not like a coconut girly. I'm not going into the Wegmans trying to pick up the coconut flavored whatever. I don't even like coconut water, to be honest. Like the taste of coconut water, the texture actually is like slime. Have you noticed that? Or have you just
convinced myself that it's better at hydration, so I've ignored it.
Oh my god!
So y'all know, I want to side note, that's not true. Like it does. It's not. It's the same shit. Okay, I've looked it up. It's not effectively different to justify you paying $25 for a case of 6.
No. Yeah, no. I'm not. I can't afford that. But even if I could, the texture of it is a little more viscous than I want it to be for water. I'm like, I'm drinking water. Why does this not taste like water texturally? So, I don't know.
Yeah, So yeah, I have obviously a bit of more of opinion. I can use them all. I don't have sensitive skin, so... Yeah,
I have extremely sensitive skin. I could like rub my own skin and cause a rash.
Oh my god, really? Like, yeah. So I mean, does it work? Yes. Pros. I mean,
You gave the pros.
well,
You also
there's
gave
no
the
real cons. Yeah, I want to say the real cons again, like, is really the taste of it.
Maybe like the purchasing of it. Like if you don't have a lot of money, you have to keep buying lube. Maybe depending on who you are.
Yeah, I mean, pros and cons of coconut oil. Can't
Of
you buy like big
anything.
tubs for like a fairly decent price?
Girl, I'm not talking about Costco for me. I'm talking about like for the writer of the question. Like,
oh,
and like if they like, what are the cons of like lube? Not using lube. Like it doesn't matter what you use. Like you're gonna either be buying lube or buying coconut oil or buying nothing. You should weigh out
yeah, absolutely.
what your cost, what your budget is for lube alone or sex or whatever you want to put that budget towards. Like,
Yeah,
you're
there's
gonna
no
run
real
out.
physical cons though, right? Not like how
No,
water-based
not-
dries
not
up.
physical cons,
Yeah,
no.
there's no real. There's no. With that being said, the perfect lube is per person.
Perfect.
So that, yeah, we'll leave it as that.
Yep, that's good.
So, all right. Well, question 5. This one is a long one. Do you want to read this one?
Sure.
All right, got it.
So, okay, how do you feel or how do you cope with feeling that your sex life will never be the same after a breakup? All right, so this is a bit long, so I am going to start it off. Be prepared. I just had a breakup with the girl. Can't relate. I was with for 1 year. Before her, I thought my sex life had been okay and at times even very satisfying. And I had done many different things and got several nice experiences. However, when I met my ex, she blew my mind. She was extremely beautiful and sexy, dressed up for sex, for role play, was really playful, made videos with me, paid so much attention to my kinks, gave so damn awesome head that I had no tolerance of it. And her pussy felt like I had never had pussy before.
Damn.
She had incredible control of her internal muscles and could do things I never thought were possible, especially when she was riding me. She could,
Kegels, girl.
okay, keep them tight. She could also read very well my body and knew exactly the time I'm about to come. And could just slow it down to keep edging me for hours. She even managed to give me 4 dry orgasms once before I came. It's common that every partner has something that they are very good at, but she was good at everything. She also had really high libido, and we had sex practically every day, sometimes up to 3 times a day. When I fell in love with her, it just got better and better. We were pretty open about our sexual experiences in the beginning, and I told her already after the second or third date that if I had to rank all of my sexual experiences, she would be number 1. The next 25 positions were empty, and the second one would be the 26th place. Damn. That is a huge gap. Homegirl is like literally leading the pack. Now I'm devastated. I'm emotionally broken, and on top of that, very jealous. I have a really strong feeling that I'm never going to experience anything like that ever again in my life. After all, I had to be 40 and try it out with about 30 different people before experiencing such a thing for the first time. Do any of you have similar experiences? And how do you cope with them? I'm just afraid that these experiences became a new baseline for me, and I'm unable to enjoy sex fully anymore.
Oh.
On the other hand, I know that I should be happy that I got to do it, even for a short period of time. But it's still bothering me a lot. What are your thoughts? I have to take a breather.
Yeah,
that was a lot of reading.
No, it was a lot of reading. I need to comment on the first thing that stuck out of my mind, which I feel like I have a new baseline. I think that needs to go away. When you are meeting new people and you're going to meet someone else, that's unfair to the person that you met. There are obviously natural things that we'll like and enjoy, but you need to internalize that everyone else is not her.
Right.
And it's not fair to project it onto other people, and it won't be the same. At the end of the day, it'll never, ever, ever be the same. It won't be the same person. Even if someone has a similar libido or similar skills, which, girl, congrats to you and your Kegels. Let me tell you, girl.
Not the muscles.
All right, I be in my car. You know what I mean? That is a skill that takes time to develop.
Yes.
And Yeah, I think that's really kind of where I stand about it. I understand the frustration. I'm sorry if you feel that you won't be able to enjoy sex again. That's just not true.
Yeah.
And if it is, then I do think you may need to take a little bit of time to allow yourself to heal. You may be just thinking about her. And I feel like that's kind of what any breakup, right? Like you may need time to get over them. It's not that dissimilar from the person's whose voice you're hearing when you wake up in the morning, or the person you're talking to, or like that best friend you're having. You can't expect that exact type of friendship from other people in the same way we're sexually. I think it's just a part of the mourning process. I understand how you just described very explicit, wonderful sex life, and I'm happy you got to experience that. At the end of the day, if that was that big of a deal to you, I don't know if you would have broken up.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
I didn't recall like how the breakup happened, if it was mutual or whatever, but if she broke up with him, I feel like it's only because he told her that she was number one and the second place was 26 places after that. Like that's a little like, I'd be like, okay, so how many, like, have you had sex before? Like, okay. I mean, it does seem really great, a little dramatic for my taste, but also I don't fuck girls.
A little.
So it just, I mean, trying to be nice here. It just got to the place where I'm like, okay, like I understand, but you really are the energy that you invite, right? Like, Carlos and I have this conversation a lot, but you really are. If you're saying to yourself and others, oh, I'm never going to find that again, then you're just closing the doors of the times where you could possibly get that again.
100%.
You're just allowing yourself to invite in nothingness or lackluster sex. And I don't know why you want to do that. Life is short. Fuck.
I regularly tell myself, and as DJ said, we talk about this often, and I mean, I may sound like a soapbox, but I never really want to stop it. Like, you get what you give.
Exactly.
You really get what you give in this world. And obviously, you gave something that attracted this and that benefited you. So keep doing what you were doing. Don't allow this to cloud how you move forward and how you treat other people. Because I can easily see how someone typing this could therefore make someone else feel bad for not living up to, or you, even if it's not on purpose, making someone else feel bad for not giving you what you had before.
Yeah.
And you cannot do that to others. That's absolutely not fair. You will get what you give one way or another.
You're just going to be comparing everybody to this girl, or comparing everybody to this, relationship or this sexual experience. And like that, like Carlos said, it is very unfair to your current partner. And like you wouldn't want that same treatment. Like you wouldn't want her to be like, oh, well, my ex had these fucking veins on his dick and he could reach so deep and he could throb and do all this. Your dick just doesn't do it for me. Like, think about it from that perspective. It's like you're just comparing, whoever you're with or will be with someone in the past. And that's just, it's never cute. It's never okay. I can relate to having something good, but like, shutting yourself off from ever experiencing it again with such definitive kind of like stance just seems a little dramatic, as I said before. And it's just like, great that you had that experience. And you said toward the end there that like, you're grateful for the experience one way or another. I think you should just keep that energy throughout. Like, you don't even need the other stuff.
Exactly. 100%. You will meet other people. It's one experience, one person, and you need to just kind of, lean into that. Realize that it's an experience that you had. You're grateful for it. And if that was really that big of a deal, then maybe you would have stayed together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was going to say some point, which was really to close out what my thoughts were. Oh, I think it was really to directly answer your question, which is, how do you cope with the feeling that your sex life will never be the same after a breakup? You'll cope with it exactly the same way you would cope with the breaking up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Everything is encompassed in the one. Maybe your sex life will never be the same, but that's reality. So it's just get over it, babes.
It's like the cliche, time heals all wounds. It's one of those.
Yeah,
It's like you don't want to say it because it's like so cliche, but cliche for a reason kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, well, it's true. The longer you've been without her sex, the less you'll miss it, if that helps you.
Yeah, and it's reality. Yeah. Reality is you're no longer with her. So you kind of just have to shed that expectation and that idea and just remember when you had it.
Exactly.
That's on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have our last two. This last one, let me tell you, I have two words. How do I tell a straight guy you read this one.
Okay. How do I tell a straight guy I'm gay and I like him? Please help.
You don't.
Okay.
I have 2 words. I have 2 words to say to that. You don't.
You do not. I mean, I don't know why it serves you to do that. You know, the best, and I'm going to just let you know right away, I've had crushes on countless straight guys, and I've never told them because it's like you can really tell them without telling them, honestly. They can tell. And some of them will lean into it. Those are the ones you have to watch. And, you know, some of them will, you know, literally physically put up barriers to show you, like, I get what's going on and I'm not into it. Like, there's a lot of communication that's nonverbal.
Most communication is nonverbal.
Exactly.
Let's like really start there, right? Most communication is nonverbal. You can tell when someone's uncomfortable. And I mean, how do you just straight up don't tell them that? Yeah. And almost, I mean, the idea of figuring out how, I mean, it doesn't get me angry, but I don't enjoy when people in our community feel like they can turn straight men. There's a difference between someone, as DJ said, is giving you signs and you're kind of just picking up what they're receiving. But if someone's showing actual barriers, I do think it's invasive, and I think it's almost outright disrespectful to then just tell them that. I don't think it sets us up as a community well, that we feel like we can just put our sexual desires onto others, even not even as a community, as a person, right? If a woman to a man isn't comfortable, do not tell her, right? You can tell, vice versa, if a man is happily in his place. So I mean it strongly, and I mean all tea, all shade, don't. And if you do and the physical signs are there, you're the issue.
I have like 2 points to that. The first one being the like idea in the straight community that the gays are like somehow wanting to like turn all these like, you know, straight guys gay. And it's like, you could have that fantasy, sure. There's a whole OnlyFans genre for you. Just, you know, just buy those subscriptions. Don't be out here in real life, you know, trying to go after these straight men. The second point is, Carlos mentioned disrespect. I think that's in the same vein as going for someone who's in a relationship. It's like you're not in that relationship. It's not your responsibility to keep it together, but knowing that they're actively engaged in a relationship and you're still chasing them. You know, I know a lot of straight guys who, or I should say, I know a lot of guys who are married to women who live straight lives.
That,
you know,
the difference.
And, you know, they're out at the gay bars, or, you know, they're out at the fucking glory hole or the foxhole or whatever you want to call it, because they're here getting what they really want. It's like, you know, people tend to find out later that they're married to a woman, you know, and it's like, that's very different to me than knowing, oh, he has a wife, but I saw him on Grindr, let me go and like shoot my shot. It's like,
Yep.
If you know that someone has whatever situation going on, I would say this again, no, it's not your responsibility to keep them together. That's the number one, you know, excuse. You're like, well, I'm not in a relationship. Like, he's the one cheating. Yeah, but you are also pursuing that. You're helping them cheat. Like, you want to also be a part of it. So, you know,
absolutely, it's like you're literally injecting yourself into a negative situation.
Exactly.
There's a different. I mean, I am for one to say I don't ask. I'm an ignorance is bliss type of person. Yep, you know, exactly. You can say whatever you want to say about me. I don't ask, so then I never don't know. I was telling DJ earlier about a situation where I did feel like I was injecting myself, and I kind of. Not injecting myself, but like I was that person, and it made me uncomfortable. I'm like, no, like I'm in your husband's bed.
Yep.
Like, I had no idea, and I don't think it's cool. I'm not here for it. So, again, 2 words. How do I tell a straight guy I'm gay and I like him? Please help. You don't.
That's the takeaway. You don't.
All right. Well, this is our last question.
Oh, my God.
How are you feeling before we get there? How are you feeling so far? Before you said you were nervous.
I know. I did mention nerves in the beginning, but... You know, I've calmed down a lot. You know, it's one of those things where it's like being with light company and having, you know, at least some kind of experience in the subject matter does help. You know, you feel comfortable expressing when you've already explored.
Exactly. And all of this, I will say, is all out of like love and positivity and encouragement. Like, I don't mean this. I know DJ doesn't mean this with any intentions. And I do kind of get nervous as well, because then you're also commenting on someone's life at the same time when they asked. And two, again, like, I only mean it out of a good place, right? And so it tends to shed.
Yes.
All right. Well, again, how about you read it's the last one of the season. And so my very special guest, you continue to read it.
Alrighty. Did I do something wrong? That's like the title of a novel. I'm already here for the question.
Ooh.
Okay. Today I met up with a guy and we did it. Like, did it. Okay. I feel like did it is so like, I don't know. We can talk about phrasing, but I was the top and he was the bottom. Work. We started good. Everything was okay. And then he said, slow down. I stopped, but didn't pull out for a few seconds. Then I continued after a while and he said, slow down again. And he seemed in distress. So I asked if I should stop and pull out. He said no, but visibly he was uncomfortable. So I waited and I asked if he was okay. And he said yes. So I continued and he was making grunts until I finished. I almost never topped, so his reactions were different to me. Did I go too far and assaulted him? I mean, you were already inside of him, so if this is going to file as an assault, we need to talk. In the moment, I didn't think about it, but now he blocked me, so I think I might have forced him. Or is this normal behavior for bottoms? ? When I bottom, I don't feel much pain or grunt. I just make slight moans. First of all, what I don't understand is he's like, is this normal behavior for bottoms and you're a bottom? You just said you barely top. So that's...
Is it normal for you?
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? Let's ask the question to yourself.
Okay.
So have I been that bottom? Yes. I have been that bottom who would do that. And I'm just going to say, no, it's never, ever, ever oh my God, this person assaulted me. It may just be one way or another. I stopped enjoying the experience, but I've accepted the experience. I'm not hating the experience.
Yeah. And
I want to get over it. The blocking, it just may be due to the discomfort they have mentioning it to you. Like, for me, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Like
right. And I never want to see them again. But not out of like hate. I don't like, oh my God, like I need to file something, right?
Yeah.
It's just one way or another. Maybe I wouldn't have done this, or, I made a judgment call. I'm like, ooh, I mean, also realty, they may not have been feeling it, right? Like, I mean, that's also a thing. They may have just been faking it. And at some point, their ability to fake it just wasn't long enough to last the entire experience. So, I mean, is this normal? I mean, I think it's not abnormal. I will say, as I have gotten older, I haven't done this in a while. I do think that is more of someone who lacks or the confidence to communicate, or I think it's really just someone who
it's very much about communication.
Yeah, they're just not comfortable communicating one way or another, and that's not always your own problem.
Right. The fact that you were blocked is very like telling, because it shows that they just didn't want to communicate about what it was. They clearly knew it was awkward, right? You felt it was awkward. I feel like, just as a rule of thumb, if you're going to be topping, if you have to ask someone, should I stop and pull out, you should just stop and pull out.
I was thinking that, I forgot.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you're going to ask your partner, you clearly feel it in the air, like we said a little bit earlier, but a lot of communication is nonverbal, right? If you can feel that the sex is not sexing, girl, stop sexing. Like, it's just not that. Like, we can stop, we can reset, we can cool off, we can communicate about what's actually going on here, because maybe it was you, but maybe it wasn't. You know what I mean? You would have no way of knowing. You literally finished inside of him and then he blocked you. So I would have just, instead of asking, should I stop and pull out, just stop and pull out, reset. You know what I mean? If it's not naturally going to go back in, if the sex isn't good, then,
read the room.
Exactly. Read the room.
As we said, trust your instincts. You are expressed that you could feel the discomfort, and you should have trusted that.
Yeah.
I do 100%. I do think you did well in asking, right? I just think you should have just done it. You should have taken control and stopped that situation, if not for your own psyche.
Yep.
Right? You don't want to have these lingering feelings if I did something wrong. And so, which can easily happen, and that can mess with you, right? no one should feel like they assaulted someone when they feel like they did everything in their power to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, not the assault. Like, I read that and I was like, well, this feels like a different type of question. I mean, if you got there in his bed, in his hole consensually, I would just leave assault off of the table, because that seems like that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I wouldn't put that in writing, but the vibe wasn't there, clearly. The vibe was not there, and, your letter basically indicates that you don't know why the vibe wasn't there, but, now you can't ask because you've been blocked, so.
Just trust yourself. It helps everyone, right? At the end of the day, this person, what if they were nasty and it did become greater than? I mean, I don't think you were in the wrong, but at the same time, protect yourself and trust yourself. Anything else?
No, that's that on that.
Oh, okay. Well, that was all the questions that we had. Thank you so much to everyone who wrote in. Wonderful. Well, that was fun. Upon reflection, how do you feel about?
Like, amazing. Like, I'm floating on a high right now.
Oh my God, right?
That's not just because I'm high, but I'm not. So.
Oh, okay. I'm not either. And yeah, I mean, I feel great. I feel like I got my honest thoughts out and I contributed.
Yeah, for sure. This is like, I love this shit so much. So thank you for making me a part of this. I really do appreciate being here.
Oh my God, of course. Which a part of this, I'll tell y'all in a minute. But no, so DJ, where can people find you?
Okay, so maybe it's DJ Terry on Instagram. I don't really do much other than Instagram or Facebook, but my Facebook and Instagram are linked, so you'll be able to find those all together.
Absolutely.
Ever since Elon destroyed Twitter, I'm off of Twitter, so I don't have that anymore. You could add me on Snapchat, but we'll have to get to know each other just a bit before I do that.
Absolutely. I'm really only on Instagram, right? Mine is C-Town with 2 W's and 2 N's. And this is the part where I would normally thank you guys for coming in and listening to the podcast, but I do have an extra special announcement. So DJ here, my very special guest, is not just my very special guest. Coming up in the next seasons, we are co-hosts.
Pew, 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 pew.
Right? And I want to say thank you so, so much for believing in this joint vision and coming along board. I am like super, super excited. This floats so beautifully. And I'm like,
I feel like it could have flowed a little better, but practice makes perfect. So we'll get there.
Exactly. One episode at a time. And so, yeah, I'm super excited for what's yet to come. How do you feel kind of going on this journey?
Grateful being the first part. You know what I mean? Like, I really do appreciate the fact that you trusted me enough to come on board.
Absolutely.
I like the fact that, it's a journey and we're both aware of that. Like, things don't just happen. Like, you have to kind of like manifest, and you have to make, and you have to create, and you have to communicate. And, I like that, we've been able to do that up to this point, right? Like, even getting here required a lot of coordination between the two of us.
Absolutely.
So I'm just excited to see where this little bean sprout will grow.
Absolutely. Yep. And so expect super great things that's yet to come. Maybe it's me. We've decided, I'll say it out there, is going to stay the name.
Hey, I love the name.
Yeah, maybe it's me. It's here to stay, and it's just gotten better.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So again, look out for great things. Thank you so, so much for listening. You make this happen. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. See you next season.
Peace and blessings.